Welcome to my cruise pod. I'm Melissa, a university professor who loves to cruise and who loves to talk ship. Today we're diving into one of my favorite topics, how to cruise on a budget. Yes, the cruise industry may have taken a hit during 2020, but now demand is higher than ever, ships are filling up fast, and cruise fares are through the roof. However, there are still ways to find cheap and even free cruises. So let's get into 5 ways that you can save money while cruising, plus a little money-saving bonus tip that you will not want to miss. So let's get into it. First is to book early or book last minute. When it comes to snagging a cheap cruise, sometimes it's all about timing. And it comes down to those 2 approaches, either booking way in advance or waiting until the last minute. If you're someone who likes to plan ahead, booking early can lock in some really great deals. Cruise lines will often offer incentives like onboard credits, free stateroom upgrades, or discounted rates to encourage early bookings. And this not only saves you money, but it also ensures that you get the exact sailing and the right cabin for you. And this is important because as demand starts to skyrocket, obviously the supply is becoming more and more limited. Booking early also gives you the opportunity to plan ahead for airfare and accommodations around your cruise, which can be cheaper if you're doing it well in advance or if you have time to track prices and snag a good deal when it pops up. Now, on the flip side, if you're a spontaneous adventurer, last-minute deals can also offer incredible savings. Not too long ago, Holland America Line even launched a program specifically targeting last-minute cruisers. Their standby program offers fares as low as $99 per person per day. Now, of course, this is for a limited segment of people. It's those people that can pack up and go at a moment's notice, so it's not for everyone. But if that describes you, the savings can be well worth it. You can also find last-minute deals through cruise aggregators or by signing up for email alerts with your favorite cruise lines. So whether you plan in advance or are willing to wait until that last minute, sometimes timing is everything. Number 2 on the list is one of my personal favorites, and I get asked all the time, how do you cruise so often? And if you don't know, I do cruise monthly. This is how I do it. It's through casino offers. Now, before you roll your eyes saying, okay, a free casino offer costs a lot of money, true, but first hear me out. Many cruise lines have casino programs that offer free or heavily discounted cruises to casino players. Now, the catch, obviously, they expect you to gamble. But here's the trick. You don't necessarily have to gamble a lot to take advantage of these offers. I, again, cruise on casino comps where my cruise fare is free and I only pay port fees and taxes. Now, I will be the first to tell you that gambling can be a slippery slope and it should be done only with discipline. But if you're super disciplined and you can manage your play wisely and do this strategically, you can score cruises that cost significantly less than if you booked the traditional way. Another little known perk is that even if you're not a high roller, signing up for these casino loyalty programs with the cruise lines can result still in occasional discounted or even free sailings. So even if you're not a gambler, I encourage you to find the cruise line's casino programs, sign up for all of them, and you may get special offers even with never having set foot in that cruise line's casino. Always be sure to check the terms and conditions of those casino offers and understand your play expectations before you sail, but this can be a great way to do it. Now, caveat here, as cruise demand is starting to skyrocket, I've really noticed in the last year or so, the cruise lines are starting to tighten down on this a little bit. But it's still a great way to sail. As just one example, if I spend, say, $2,000 in a Carnival cruise ship casino, that may generate for me a free casino offer that I get in email later after the cruise. Often with Carnival, for example, you can book up to 5 sailings on one offer. So I could presumably get 5 free cruises off of one offer and off of one $2,000 investment. Now, there's a lot of nuance to this and a lot of complications and also some ways to work the system. Too much to get into this video. I'll try to make another video just about casino cruises, but just know that this is a potential way to save a whole boatload of money on your cruise. Next is to book in the off season. So let's talk about cruising and seasons. Just like with airlines and hotels, the time of year you cruise can dramatically affect pricing. And this brings us to reason number 3, book in the off season. For Caribbean and warm weather destinations, peak season usually runs from June to August, and again, December through January during the winter holidays when people are off. If you can avoid these time periods, you can save anywhere from 20 to 50% on your cruise fare. Plus, and for me, this is a huge bonus, if you sail in the off season, ships are often significantly less crowded, namely less crowded with children that are noisy and rambunctious, which can make for a much more enjoyable cruise experience overall. Some of the best months to cruise the Caribbean are actually during what we call shoulder seasons, which is September through early December or from mid-January to about April. Not only will you find better prices, spring break accepted, but you'll likely enjoy, again, those fewer crowds, both on board and at those ports of call. Being flexible with your dates and traveling during these slower times can really help you cut down on costs. So if your schedule allows it, booking in that off season is a solid money-saving move. Number 4, book through a cruise aggregator. Cruise aggregators are those websites that get and scour the internet and scrape the web for all the cruise prices from all of the different cruise lines, and they consolidate it in one central location. My go-to favorite is Cruise Direct. Now, if you use a cruise aggregator, you can book with them once you find the cruise that you want, but you don't have to. And this is the trick. While these aggregators are great for some people to book directly through, for me, I use it basically as a cruise search engine. I use it to find the best cruise deals rather than going to each individual cruise line's website and tediously searching one by one. With an aggregator like Cruise Direct, you can simply go in, put in your criteria, itinerary, dates that you're available, length of cruise. You can even filter down and specify by cruise lines if there are certain cruise lines that you do like or certain cruise lines that you just will not sail. And you can use their aggregator system to narrow it down to a smaller number of cruises and then identify the best deals for you. And then at that point, you can choose to book directly with them, and they do generally offer really competitive pricing. But just caveat, know that if you book with a cruise aggregator like Cruise Direct, you are not going to get any service at all. They'll often give you the cheapest cruise price, but you're not going to get the service that you would if you use a travel agent or a personal vacation planner or a personal cruise consultant. And PVPs and PCCs, those are what we call these employees of the cruise lines that specialize in booking cruises, but just for that cruise line. So going through an aggregator can be a great way to save money, but you have to know what you're doing. If you're a newbie cruiser or first-time cruiser, I strongly recommend using a travel agent or a PVP or a PCC. But if you're a seasoned cruiser and you know what you're doing, by all means, use a cruise aggregator. But regardless of which camp that you fall in, using an aggregator to narrow down all these thousands of cruise options to a smaller, more manageable number, and then filtering and sorting on price is a really great way to find that needle in the haystack when it comes to finding a bargain on a cruise. And tip number 5, be flexible. Flexibility is key to finding a cheap cruise. One way to be flexible is by opting for what's called a guaranteed stateroom, which is often abbreviated as GTY. With a guaranteed stateroom, the cruise line picks your stateroom for you within a certain category, and sometimes the cost savings can be pretty significant. Now, it's important to note though, that while a GTY or guaranteed stateroom can score you a lower fare, there is a risk that you could end up in a room in a less than ideal location, like near a busy elevator, the back of the ship where it might be more movement, or beneath a nightclub where it gets really noisy at night. But on the flip side, sometimes you actually end up getting a better room and sort of an upgrade for free. So there's pros and cons to a guaranteed stateroom. Another option for flexible cruisers is to book what's called a repositioning cruise. These are cruises where ships have to relocate from one region over to another, often at the end of a cruise season in one location. Because they're not part of a typical cruise itinerary, they're usually offered at a significantly lower rate. Another option, if you're flexible, is choosing an interior cabin. This is a really great way to save. Now, of course, you're not gonna have that scenic view and you get the ocean breezes with the balcony or even a window that lets in natural light. Interior cabins can slash your cruise fare considerably, leaving you with more money to spend on other things or to cruise more frequently. And a lot of cruisers find that they don't spend much time in their staterooms anyway, other than to shower and sleep, so their stateroom category doesn't matter that much after all. So if you're willing to compromise on the luxuriousness of the room and you're willing to take a risk on a guaranteed stateroom, you can save a lot of money on your cruise booking. Now, quick bonus tip. Here's a way that you can save on certain cruise lines, and not just on your booking, but even on things like excursions and even the casino. And that is through an AARP membership. Now hear me out. Even if you're not retired, even if you're young, anyone over the age of 18 can join AARP, and that's the American Associations for Retired People. That's right, you do not have to be retired, you don't even have to be old. And one of the perks of being an AARP member is you get access to discounted gift cards. And these can be used on several major cruise lines, including, I most recently looked, and they had Carnival, Royal Caribbean Princess, and Holland America Line. So let me give you an example. I just took a Carnival cruise. I joined AARP. It cost me $12 a year, and there's other perks as well. But I was able to then use my membership to go online to buy a $500 Carnival gift card for $450. I was able to use that gift card for basically anything on the ship, and I could use it for expenses, booking the cruise, or to buy Wi-Fi. Anything that I needed to charge, I was able to put on that gift card. So say, for example, I spent $2,000. By using gift cards, I only spent $1,800, which saved me a cool $200. So these savings can really add up. And as I mentioned, an AARP membership, it's not very expensive. I got a promotional rate at $12, but I think it usually runs around $12 to $15 per year. But these savings get you these discounted cards, and that's gonna more than make up the cost. And as I mentioned, there are other perks to being an AARP member. They have some other travel-related discounts. So it is definitely a membership that's worth considering, especially if you're like me and you are a frequent cruiser. And there you have it, 5 ways plus a bonus to cruise cheaply. If you found this information helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, check out my blog at profmelissa.com for tons of additional resources, including free port guides, cruise tips and advice, and everything in between. Happy cruising.